So I was planning on reviewing each episode of Goosebumps, but I just couldn't. I could barely make myself finish the episode, let alone put up a video for every episode. So I'm just going to talk about episode 10, which I'm going to admit I think was a huge disappointment. So firstly, the teenage love drama. Look, I have nothing against that sort of thing in general. It can be really good in other shows, but this isn't the show for it. This is Goosebumps, and if you've read the books, yes, they do have obviously stuff like that, but it is very, very minimal. And in this show, it seems like it seems like it's a teenage soap opera with like a sugar coated surface of Goosebumps, and barely even that. Like, I don't know, this whole show has just been such a disappointment. And the endings, it always seems to feel like it needs to wrap things up in a positive way, and the books didn't do that. The books weren't afraid to be darker and have a nihilistic, unhappy ending, and that's part of what made them scary. And well, obviously, this ended on a cliffhanger, which wasn't technically a happy ending, but still, you can tell in season 2 which is going to come for sure after that finale. Yeah, you can tell in season 2 they're just going to wrap everything up in a perfect little Disney bow, and they're all going to ride off into the sunset together and defeat Slappy. Like, we already know how it's going to end. It's boring. It had nothing to do with Goosebumps, barely. Like, Slappy, the main villain, was his backstory. I timed it. Like, his backstory was nothing compared to the amount of time they put on the teenagers and their drama. So there's this whole backstory of Slappy being a human who fought in the war. We don't know what war, or maybe we do, and I just was tuning out because I was so bored. But anyway, Slappy fought in the war. He got shot. He found this like cave or something that had all these ancient spells on the wall. He read one and it saved his life. So basically, fast forward to the future, he turns the town into living dolls because the people who believe in his fantasy, that he puts them under this like mind control, not mind control, but like this spell to make them see what they want to see. Like, one of the boys sees his dad, who's dead, come back and say he was in the witness protection program, he wasn't really dead, and he falls for it. So the people who fall for Slappy's lies get put under this like mind control and turned into living dummies, and Slappy needs 1,000 of them to enact his master plan. And his master plan is to unleash all the monsters. And that reminds me of the movie, the Jack Black Goosebumps movies, how the books like had all the monsters come out of them. And I thought that would be actually a really cool premise if they actually executed it in a way where it felt like it had real stakes in it. And at the end, like, we see the jock guy gets shot. They defeat Slappy, of course. Well, they defeat him until the very final moment where we see, he's still alive. And Long was hands down the best part of this show. I'm just going to say, I think it was the last episode, the one where he was narrating. That was hands down one of the better episodes. And I loved all like the Stephen King references. I think that was a good episode. Justin Long, he's just like the Scream King. I love him. But yeah, I think that the whole master plan actually does sound genuinely interesting if they executed it correctly. So I think if Mr. Blat had stayed evil, because obviously he turns to the dark side and then he comes back around again and helps them to defeat Slappy, and I feel like they sort of pulled their punches there. Like, have him commit to being this selfish person who would do anything to succeed in becoming an author and having his dreams come true. Like, that was interesting. They should have stuck to that, but as soon as they started to do something good, they immediately had to rewind it. And then, the girl, I forget her name and I can't even be bothered to look it up, who was going out, well, not going out, I don't know, had that love triangle with the jock that got shot. And then she reads the spell to bring him back to life. And obviously that sort of thing, it's probably going to have consequences. So it would be cool to see if he came back different, darker, if he was actually a villain in his own right. That would be pretty cool. We could even see him team up with Slappy and the teacher, but I doubt they'd actually go in that direction. So obviously the biggest thing that is a letdown to me and a lot of other people is the concept of Horrorland. The very episode was titled Horrorland or Welcome to Horrorland or whatever, and we had no Horrorland in the Horrorland episode. It felt like a huge clickbait, and a lot of the episodes seem to do that. And Horrorland would be one if we saw it in live action form, like we've seen it in that Goosebumps episode, but seeing it in a more modern way with a bigger budget, if they had really made it like a different location other than in the small town and they really went all out, it could be so amazing. They had the opportunity, but they didn't take it, and I don't know if they're just thinking of doing that in season 2 because obviously they're setting up for a second season. But even if that is the idea for it just to be a teaser for season 2, I still think labeling it Horrorland, we should at least have a glimpse at the end of the episode of like the entryway to Horrorland, and that could segue into season 2. But it's all just a big tease basically. So I stand by what I said earlier, but the other R.L. Stine teenage sort of show, The Haunting Hour, is definitely the more modern Goosebumps show that I wanted. It's better. It's for free on YouTube at the moment, and it's also on Prime, so go watch that if you want your fix. But this, honestly, I will admit I'll probably end up watching season 2, but I'll probably end up complaining some more. That's YouTube, right? Anyway, so please comment, like, subscribe, all of that. It really helps my channel. Thanks, guys.